The opinions expressed on the program you are watching are not necessarily those of Shaw Cable Systems or of the station. Through our access policy, we provide the opportunity for community groups and individuals to express their points of view.
Well, everybody, we're back with equine facilitating wellness coach Cecile Corbière, and it's just really exciting to hear about this project that you're going to be sharing with others. And what I love about this Jodi Face show and the stories that we're telling is it comes out of this sort of spirit of hands united. You have experienced healing and growth and just the beauty of life through your relationship with horses.
A lot, yeah.
And that's what you've now committed your life to, is helping other people do that. Really, is that right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So how old were you when you got your first horse, and how did that change who Cecile was? How did that moment change you, obviously, and ultimately forever?
Yeah, well, the hugest thing with me getting a horse was that I've always wanted one ever since I was just a little wee kid. And my dad had a passion for horses, but my mom not so much. So there was huge obstacles there. However, I totally prayed to God and told him, okay, if you get me a horse, I will just thank you forever. And so I continually thank him.
Oh my goodness, like to this day,
Oh, yeah.
the fact that you got a horse, how old were you?
13.
13. That literally, look at this lady. She's like teared up here. This was a really important moment in your life and has kind of powered an attitude of gratitude all your life.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
tell us how that worked.
Well, that's interesting because, like, all along, I'm sure God knew what He wanted to do with it, and I didn't. And now I'm truly, really finding out. But it took years and years of developing this with experience with horses. I started with that one horse. I trained her. She was just a weanling colt, which is like a 6-month-old colt, not trained, of course, a baby. Grew her up, and I didn't know anything about training, didn't have access to really trainers and stuff. And so it was all by spending so much time with her.
Well, you talked earlier about your wellness coaching actually being a communication between the horse and you, and really because you didn't have a manual.
No.
You actually were having to feel your way through that, weren't
That's
you?
right.
And that's what you want to encourage students to do, is actually be true to themselves and trust their instincts to be a leader. Just like you were a leader with your horse. You
Yeah, and
learned
it's
how to do that.
interesting how it happens because it's, like you say, it's not just a format. It just develops through this relationship, through being with the horse and through asking the horse and finally asking in a way that the horse responds, and then, okay, we can use that.
Okay.
So from that, I now am able to direct people a little bit more so that it doesn't take tons and tons of time, but it still is a big time commitment when you're going to have a relationship with a horse.
Okay, now let's face it, any relationship is a time commitment, and that's part of what you're teaching.
That's right.
Isn't it? Just be with this relationship with the horse, you're modeling what it takes to have a good relationship in life, period.
Right. That's
so
right.
Cecile, talking about relationships, you really turn to your horses and really to the relationship that you could trust with your horses after your first marriage ended, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that was instrumental because at that time, of course, I'm kind of left with, okay, what am I going to do now, and how am I going to do it? I had 5 kids, and horses was not a lucrative business, but it can be a business. But what I really hung on to horses, I became a horse breeder, and I bred the Morgan horse for 20 years after that. And what it really did, it did bring in some income. However, because of the relationship I had with the horse that really grew me up, so to speak, I gave that opportunity to my kids.
So you weren't just parenting alone, you actually had all these horses that were helping you do that.
Well, yeah, they didn't have a father anymore.
Okay, so when you talk about the therapeutic value of a relationship with a horse, I mean, your kids actually were able to have a place to be nurtured and to nurture within this horse environment.
Oh, totally. And more than that, like they learn respect and they learn to attach, you know, like that's a huge relationship break, a divorce.
Yeah.
And so then the kids are hesitant to attach again, right?
Okay.
But with a horse, you can so freely attach because the horse has no agenda. The horse doesn't judge you. The horse doesn't criticize. The horse is a horse that is just there and welcome for friendship, welcome for companionship, and accepts you just the way you are. You can just be. But at the same time, in order to be able to do stuff with the horse, you need to learn how to ask. And how to ask in a way that they understand.
And invite them to follow you.
Absolutely.
Right? Invite you to become
and they do. Amazingly, how horses are actually an animal designed to follow.
Wow. And then I know from the 4 victories of your wellness program, the next step would be trust.
Yes.
And so because they've learned how to follow you, you've learned how to take that step.
Right.
I mean, I can just see this as just a whole wellness perspective for families and especially your students to just walk in this, so they learn how to trust this animal and the animal is learning how to trust them. And for you, you actually surrendered your kids actually to your horses.
Pretty much.
You trusted that those horses were part of the solution for their lives and their wellness.
And it was.
Oh,
yeah,
that is
totally
cool.
was.
That is cool. And then, so coming out of that time of what started with hopelessness, now you're actually rebuilding your life and your family. You're actually starting to work. You actually worked on ranches. That's the other thing that happened, wasn't it? That you were able to do that.
I never was the actual cowboy horseman.
Okay.
I never got to where I could actually, you know, get right out there and just do all of the job. And I think my hang-up was this relationship, because I really needed to have that close relationship with my horse so I could go and do the job if I was sent alone or with my kids. And then it was wonderful because we did it at our own pace and never jeopardized the relationship with our horse by being overly demanding or risking too much.
Okay.
So we did well that way because the kids did help me also, you know, when I was a ranch hand. Yeah.
Sure, I just think it's remarkable. Yeah. I love, often our guests will share things like, you know, our pain becomes our purpose. Or our mess becomes our message. And here again, we have that same type of story, this hands united. You actually felt healing and wholeness that came to you and your family through your relationship with horses.
Right.
And now you're going to take that and you're going to share that same strategy with other people who might be broken, with other people who might just need to learn how to assert themselves and take leadership. Now, I know one of the things that you want to do is as far as benefits with your wellness program, how did these benefits actually end up happening in your own life? You know, what's the parallel? I'm looking at your benefits here, and I see that you have a model through these horses of building real and meaningful relationships. So because you were able to do that with horses, you've been able to now learn how to trust yourself to have positive relationships in the world, yes?
Oh yeah, and like a relationship isn't all just give and take, so to speak. You have to put a lot of yourself into it. And with horses, they have a totally different perspective. And in order for us to be able to really get that perspective so that they are willing to do as we ask and to partner up with us and to have fun or to do this or to do that, then we really need to get to know their perspective.
And so you're having to literally make a commitment to invest in that relationship, invest your time and your efforts. And I mean, how many of us would have had so many better relationships if we would have been willing to invest more time, not just take or just
and
assume.
To see it from the other person's perspective, and that the other person's perspective is okay.
Right, right. And so you're also learning to understand that the perspective of others really does matter.
Oh, totally does matter. Absolutely, because let's say in a horse's perspective, if the horse decides that he's just not going through that water.
Okay.
Okay. If you have that relationship that he trusts you and he looks to you as the leader, and you are asking him to do something that isn't quite what he would ordinarily do right now, he is going to trust you, or he's going to totally refuse you, where then it's the flip. Then you need to question, okay, we do have a solid relationship. He usually does what I ask. What is going on? And there, chances are it's sinking mud or it's quicksand or something that you don't know.
Okay.
And the horse knows.
Okay.
So then that's what I'm saying about perspective.
I'm really beginning to value the other opinion in this relationship. It's amazing how many parallels here would really change. And so primarily, if a student comes into this program, you really truly have seen results and seen how they become more accepting of others.
Oh, yeah.
And they actually become a part of a cycle of real interdependent living. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. They seem to just really want relationships, and they have that confidence.
Oh, that is so cool. So again, the ultimate goals of your wellness program, which you've discovered personally,
is to be content, to really want and like what you have, and to have peace, to like and be satisfied with what it is that you are and how you are.
Right.
And then to be good, especially with communication. Communication as the key, and partnership as the goal, and relationship is actually the way to all that.
Thank you for being with us, Cecile Corbière, and the Horses, Me, and God Wellness Coaching Program. We wish you well, and we look forward to good reports. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Jodi.
The opinions expressed on the program you have just watched are not necessarily those of Shaw Cable Systems or of this station. Through our access policy, we provide the opportunity for community groups and individuals to express their points of view.